Good morning and welcome to Living Local 15. I'm Jessica Williams. Thank you so much for joining me today. On today's show, I have a special treat for you. As you can see, I am outside of the Parkview Mirro Center, which is home to the largest events and galas around Northeast Indiana. But today, I am taking you inside of their Research and Innovation Center, which is the foundation of this medical facility. I am taking you inside of the simulation lab to look at a medical device from prototype to execution. Then I'm going to speak with Dr. Mark O'Sullivan about being last year's Innovation Program winner and look at the product he's been working on. But first, I talked to Dr. Mirro himself about the history and the programs offered here at the Mirro Center. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Fashion, food, and fun. You're watching Living Local 15 with your host, Jessica Williams.
Joining me now is Dr. Mirro, the Chief Academic Research Officer. Hi, Dr. Mirro.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you for being here today.
I'm so happy to be here. So we are talking about the Mirro Center in a whole new way. Of course, our audience is aware of the facility in the conference room being used for nonprofit events and conferences, but you actually have this whole innovation research lab behind that really started this whole facility. So please give us the history of the Mirro Center.
Yep. Well, the background of this is how do we improve patient care in Northeast Indiana? And many years ago, we started conducting clinical research studies to bring new therapies to patients, specifically drugs and devices to help improve care. But as time evolved, our past president, Mike Packnett, had a vision, how could we enable this to be a much bigger concept? So the concept was to conceptualize the research entity as a building and also have a health service informatics team, which would look at data science as well as clinical research, but also build around it patient education, professional education with an advanced simulation center, and also an innovation center to bring new technologies in and test it. At the center of this concept is the patient. How can we improve patient care? So over time, this team has built an incredible amount of work that's been done, not only within Fort Wayne, but now well beyond its borders, not only nationwide, but globally, in bringing in technologies and actually helping early stage companies test new technologies in healthcare. It's been very successful, and we're really very proud of the work of the team.
Yes.
So the center just enables that. It's a place to help enable that to happen.
And as we walked around and looked at the simulation lab and looking at the models of the bodies and all of the technology that's advanced to help researchers and help those in the medical field really continue their studies, how does it make a tangible impact on our community, starting here at the lab and then going out to the services?
Well, several levels. Number one, we're addressing a lot of public health issues, and one of which has been infant mortality. And so advanced resuscitation skills in the rural community. We have a mobile element to our simulation lab, which will go in rural communities, hospitals, and actually train teams well beyond the Parkview borders, but also training internally staffed to prevent patient errors and improve quality of our own team. So the lab was built with that in mind as its key concept. And now we have a graduate medical education program, which is a residency. We're training young people on advanced skills, and they presumably, many of those people will stay in the community and will increase the pool of new physicians and healthcare professionals in our community. So that's really the concept. We've helped a lot of the educational institutions external to Parkview, the local universities, with their needs in that regards.
Yeah, it's so cool to look at the lab and really see it in 3D. And I know that you have been in the medical field for many years. How do you feel about the innovation and how technology has really taken a new way of curing diseases and helping solve medical issues in a more expedient way?
Well, I think new technology, as you might know, is a two-edged sword, right? So we have to know how to use it in a targeted way to improve care. And the only way to do that is what we call user design. And so we have a whole team of people that are experts in user design. And so testing patients of how they might use the technology as consumers, but also testing clinicians of how they might use technology to help deliver better care. So the team has expertise in that area, which has actually helped us be more thoughtful about applying technology to patient care. To your point, there's a lot of great new technology developed. How do we best use it and leverage it for patient care?
That is so awesome. And I know that you focus on 3 different pillars to really focus back on that patient care that you talked about. Can you explain those 3 pillars?
Yeah, well, I think that the underpinnings of medicine is how do we advance the care for patients, and that has to do with research. And many of the research findings are from the basic science lab. So we call that translational research, where something that's discovered in the lab, such as messenger RNA vaccines in the laboratory, are translated from the bench to a vaccine that's delivered to a patient. So that is the element underpinnings of a lot of the advances in medicine, biotechnology, all the new treatments, particularly newer treatments for cancer with immunotherapy. That is classic bench to bedside. The immunotherapy solutions are just amazing. It's transformational for medicine, particularly with our Cancer Institute. We try to support some of the newer technologies that are coming out of that sector specifically. Another pillar, of course, the Advanced Simulation Center was built around the concept of professional education, of improving the performance of skills that are performed on patients and reducing, for example, variation in treatment.
Right.
An example was surgery. How do we reduce variation in surgery to reduce errors, but also improve the clinical outcomes? And then the innovation program is a gateway for new technology to come into our system. Our team has put together a process to look at new technology and see what they need to be successful, and for us to test it here in the clinical environment, again, the users, and see how we might use it best, but also that ends up helping the company commercialize their technology to improve care.
Okay, that's wonderful. You broke it down so perfectly. Thank you so much, Dr. Mirro.
No, thank you.
We appreciate it.
So wonderful to have you here and to expose this to the community, because it's a great asset for our community, but beyond that, for the state of Indiana and beyond.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And we have more to come at the Mirro Center, so I'll see you after the break.
Have an idea for the show? Want to find out how you can be a guest? Contact us at livinglocal15@wayne.com.
We are now in the operating suite, and I am joined by Ethel Massing, who is the Innovation Program Leader. Hi, Ethel.
Hi, we're so happy to have you.
Thank you. This has been so fun learning about what you all do on the research side. And I know that the Innovation Program is a really big part of the research facility and really bringing in new ideas and new talent. So can you give us a breakdown of the Innovation Program?
Absolutely. So we have 4 main components here that we do as part of our innovation program. So we work with internal innovation, so that could be taking coworkers' ideas through commercialization or helping solve internal problems within the hospital. We also run a global innovation competition series, which you met Mark, the winner from that. We work with other startup companies outside of the competition as well to help bring their medical devices to life and to the patients here at Parkview. And then we also do 3D printing and production here in the simulation lab.
That is awesome. A lot going on.
Yes.
Never a slow day here,
No.
I'm sure. And so throughout the program, we will be talking to Mark, Dr. Mark, who actually is a winner from last year. But you talk about the internal research aspect, and that's what we have here in front of us, is something that someone created the idea from, and we kind of have just the evolution of it. So can you share with me what we're looking at?
Sure. So during our first innovation competition in 2020, we had 2 coworkers come forward, Lisa Clemens and John Lozo, and they had the idea of, they really wanted to try to solve infant mortality through teaching about safe sleep practices, because we unfortunately still have infants, even in this community, that die every year due to unsafe sleep practices. And so, you know, as being coworkers here in the simulation lab, they thought, well, we could use simulation mannequins, or how can we use 3D printing? So their first idea that they came to us with the competition was this airway that can show how fluid can move from your stomach. So if you're sleeping on your back and there's fluid in your stomach, that fluid will travel back down your esophagus into your stomach. But then if you're sleeping on your stomach, that fluid travels down and can go into your trachea and your lungs.
And what type of fluid? Is this if someone had something to drink, whatever they drank or whatever they ate that day, or other internal fluids?
Yep, no, it's the contents of your stomach, so whatever you've eaten or drank that day. So, but they were really trying to teach about infants. So as we were talking to them about their idea, we talked to internal stakeholders, we talked to safe sleep educators, we brought them into the lab to really incubate this idea. And they said, this isn't going to do it. People don't know what this is. If I handed this to you on the street, you'd be like, I don't know what that is. So one of the first things they said, well, can you put it in a baby? And so then they developed this model. And so you can see their little baby. And then they put the little airway model, and this used to be filled with fluid, but he's had some trials and tribulations as being 3D printed.
Because this is 3D printed right here in your facility.
Absolutely. So was this, and then they filled it with the fluid.
Wow.
But they just, again, we took this to the educators as well. It's a little bit small to see. So in the end, what they ended up doing was they 3D printed a mold and they silicone poured these babies. So now what you have, and here, I'll get, if you want to pick one up. Yes. They feel heavy.
They are.
Like a baby. Yep. And so now educators can take these into the hospital, they can take these into homes and really show patients what can happen when their babies are sleeping in unsafe positions. So these are being, we used to pour them in-house, but now as we're spreading them all over the country, these are created by a local company for us. They manufacture these babies and then we ship them out. And so what we can show, now we have a little bit more recognizable lungs and stomach. And so our baby's just had breakfast, and so we're going to put him down for his nap just like he's supposed to on his back. And so if he's sleeping on his back and he were to throw up, spit up, because of anatomy and gravity, that fluid's going to flow right back into his stomach. But if you put your baby down on their stomach, you think, well, they could spit that up, right? Not necessarily, maybe a little bit, but now you have a much better chance because of anatomy and gravity of that fluid flowing down into your baby's lungs and causing asphyxiation, pneumonia. Another important concept that we can show through these models is what we call positional asphyxiation. So when your babies look super cute and they're sleeping in their swing, or a car seat that's not properly installed, so they're
just kind of like drop their head a little bit.
Yeah, they're so cute and they drop their heads, but the problem is what's happening inside. This is the actual size of an infant trachea. And so if their head drops forward, it's very easy to pinch off that little airway. And so that's where you have to wake them up.
It's the visual. It's the visual that makes it make sense. Wow.
Absolutely.
Because you don't really think about that. Because like you said, in the car seat or in a swing, they drop their head a little bit, but that looks natural. But you said that there are actually many deaths that happen in infants because of this exact problem.
Absolutely. We had a team from Maryland when we were at our last show that were telling us exactly that problem. They had just had an infant who had fallen asleep in the swing and unfortunately passed away.
Yeah, that's so sad. But technology is here to help
yes.
us fix and really just create a solution to some of these problems. And so share with me now, so you have this product that people can use as a demonstration. Where does this product go? Now that it's been created from prototype to an actual usable product, how does it get dispersed into our community?
So one of the ways is we have a great State Department of Health. They care so much about infant mortality. The governor's office has been instrumental in that. And so they provided funds and they purchased kits for every one of our counties here in Indiana. Oh, wow. So the each Safe Sleep Educator county has kits that they can use that they either take into the hospital and teach new parents, or they might take into a home when they're doing home visits. Some of them, even when they're doing home visits, they might see an unsafe sleep practice, and then they can do teaching right there on the spot.
Wow, that is so cool. I mean, it really is just boosting the educational aspect. Because if you think about CPR and how there are classes that are available, readily available, and you use the little examples, but I haven't seen anything like this in our market. So
there is nothing else like that, and it really was based on that same that same concept of learn by doing, learn by feeling, because you can't learn CPR from a video.
Right. Yes.
You really have to do the mannequins, so the same thing here.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Ethel,
You're
for
welcome.
sharing more about your program and really walking us through this new innovation. I'm sure that you all are working on some other exciting
We
things.
are, always.
Anything else you can kind of share? Give us a little sneak peek of what's to come.
Oh, well, we have some amazing new technologies. I know we have 2 other companies from Ireland, one that's doing a great wound care study, so we'll hopefully have some new technology in the wound care department. We have a study that's ongoing with a brand new technology that can help kids who are tube fed, so lots of fun things going on here all the time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. And next up, we're going to continue our fun here at the Mirro Center. I am speaking with Dr. Mark about the product that he created through the innovation program. We'll be right back.
Follow us on social media at Living Local 15.
We are now outside of Parkview Medical Center, and I am talking to Dr. Mark O'Sullivan, who is the founder of NeuroBell, and you actually are the winner of last year's Innovations program here through the Mirro Center. Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's exciting.
Exactly.
And you are now bringing your testing to life with an actual product. So please share with me about NeuroBell.
So NeuroBell is an early stage medical device company based out of Ireland. So we're a spin out from the Infant Centre. And we've been developing this product for 7 or 8 years now. So it's a Braby, it's a monitor for diagnosing and treating seizures. So our device can detect seizures in newborns, and then that will hopefully lead to those infants being treated sooner and leading to better outcomes. So we're just in the process now of getting to clinical investigations and looking forward to starting actually enrolling patients here in the US in the Parkview Center.
Right, and so detecting seizures, are you saying in advance, meaning mothers probably do not know that their child could possibly have seizures in the future?
Exactly, so newborns, unfortunately, they'll have seizures and they're subclinical, so there's no physical signs that these newborns are having seizures.
Oh, wow.
And typically it can be a couple hours or days before they'll start to have potentially clinical seizures where it's visible to the nursing staff and to the neonatology staff.
Right.
So our device is an easy to use device, doesn't require any specific expertise to use it, really quick to set up, and it means that hopefully the clinical team can now use our device in the neonatal ICU for these infants who may be having seizures and get earlier diagnosis of those seizures, and then hopefully lead to better outcomes.
Yes, and so share with me about your experience in the Innovations program. I mean, I know that they receive applicants from all over the world, and you came from Ireland, so share with me about that process and what it means to be the winner.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal competition and really competitive. Some of the companies that we also saw that were in the semi-finals and finals with us were really impressive companies that are going on to do great things.
Yeah.
For us, we're an early stage company. Getting our first patients enrolled in the US is a massive milestone for us to hit.
Yes.
In terms of future funding and investors, it's a big de-risking milestone to be able to say that we have patients being used, or we have our devices being used on patients in a US study. And the team here have been phenomenal. I think our device is a complex device needing input from biomed teams, IT teams,
Yes.
clinical research teams, and it's really impressive to see here in Parkview how well that works, and everyone is willing to help, to give their time, to give their expertise.
Yes.
And I think that's generally a barrier for early stage companies, is trying to get into a hospital and coming up against barriers. And within the space of 2 or 3 days here, we've gotten our device approved on the network, servers set up, ready to record, and we were just finished a recording here in the ambulance, which is
Yeah.
another potential piece of the market that we're looking at, that if the device can be used in transport, and within 2 days after mentioning it to the team here that we want to look at it in transport,
Yes.
we were out in an ambulance today with a volunteer using the device. So it's a phenomenal team and research innovation center.
That is so awesome, and I love hearing how quick the process is.
Exactly.
Because technology moves quickly, care is needed immediately, and just that step of going from having a prototype, having the idea, being able to create the device, and then test it on simulated patients, and then you're going to be able to test it on real patients right here
Exactly.
at Parkview.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so incredible. And just to bring mention to the fact of why we are outside in front of this EMS vehicle is because you just came off of a ride here,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
With this product, testing it in transport. So share why that is important, because I'm sure if a patient is in the hospital, they are stabilized. But if you're able to use this while moving, mobile, it really could make a difference for those who are helping and serving in the field.
Exactly. So newborns who are suspected of having brain injury, a lot of those are transferred to bigger centres. And unfortunately, the smaller hospitals that maybe the baby is delivered in that centre, they don't have the equipment or the expertise to do EEG monitoring. So what we're looking at now is potentially for these newborns who are being transported, being able to have eyes on their brain activity while they're in transport means that when they do eventually get to these bigger hospitals, they can either be treated already or else the team in the receiving hospital know exactly what the condition this baby is in. So it's a massive clinical need that we're trying to solve here, is potentially seeing if this device can be used in transport. And I think that's part of our novelty is typically EEG monitors a big trolley-based system. They need specific expertise in how to set it up. Our device, as you can see, is pretty much a cell phone sized device, as simple as 2 or 3 buttons to get the device recording, EEG streaming, and then someone can remotely access that data and look and see what sort of condition the baby is in.
Yeah, that is so awesome. And just a visual, so an EKG is typically when the pads are placed on the chest, but the EEG, which is this device, these pads are placed on the head of the baby. Okay, that is so awesome. Congratulations on winning. We're so excited to have you here, being able just to improve our medical system and create innovative devices like this. So it's a pleasure speaking with you, Doctor.
Likewise. Thanks a million.
We'll be right back.
Living Local 15, proudly driven by the Kelly Automotive Group.
Well, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was so cool learning about the digital health and innovative medical technology here at the Mirro Center. You can rewatch episodes of Living Local 15 by going to WANE.com or by downloading the WANE app. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you here tomorrow. Bye-bye.